Hello there. I'm just 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 want a little chat or a rant about something. Well, it's not really a rant because I'm not unhappy, but it's mainly about computers and multimedia as opposed to mainstream media. I think more and more people are beginning to watch less and less of the mainstream media, and we can see the differences in the way the news is reported. We tend to go for people that focus on certain issues that we are interested in. And you begin to notice that when you see things on a different level, a broader panorama of news reporting, you get the impression that terrestrial news or mainstream media news presenters will only give you economic truths. Like they'll tell you what some things happen, but they won't give you a right. They only feed you the bits that they want you to know, and they withhold other things that they don't want you to know. But with some of these multimedia reporters that you get nowadays, like Maya Tuzi and Jeff Taylor, they're putting out content from their own little rooms, which is often more informative and more compelling than what the BBC or ITV, the big mainstream channels, produce. I think they give you better content, and so it's very noticeable that some of the things they show you, because these guys can go out of their rooms and go out filming in the open and go down, especially Mayor Tuesday when there's something happening. He turns up at these places and films them and to see what's going on, and it's more interesting. You get a better insight to it, and you've got other people with other little channels and people putting things up that you can see happening firsthand. And you begin to sort of like see differences, and one of the main things is all what's been reported lately on the mainstream media with things that went wrong over the upheaval we've had over the last few weeks in the UK, and the sort of selective type of reporting that you've got, and things like two-tier policing, two-tier justice, all these two-tier things that they're trying to tell you are not happening when they are. You can see it all. Yeah, when something's happening, there's a crowd of 10 or 15 people around it. They've all got their mobile phones out and they're filming it, and it's usually better than what the actual mainstream media is putting forward. It's more informative in many ways, and you also realise that you're getting a propagandised sort of a presentation from some of the mainstream places. I mean, I would never have dreamed of saying such things about BBC or ITV at one time, but now you avoid them like the plague. And it brings me back to the reason why must we pay a substantial yearly fee for this horrendous reporting that to have these things that we don't want to watch. We've got to pay to have this BBC, and I don't watch it anymore. I don't look at it. It's not interesting. It's nothing of interest for me. Everything's changed and become woke and DEI, with DEI with an overreach. When they make period dramas now, and they do this overreach of DEI and start inserting things into this time zone that just completely were not around. I don't know what you would call it, paradox or temporal paradox of something that happens that wouldn't have really happened in that time. I'm talking about rich period piece dramas with DEI put in it just for the sake of it, just not to make it any better, but just for the sake of it. All these things sort of going wrong, and you just go away to different channels where there's thousands of them, thousands upon thousands of them, and it's just like being told you could only go to this planet Earth when you've got the entire universe with hundreds and hundreds of other planets that you could visit instead, and they only want you to stay around in one place. I think that mainstream media, i.e., like television mainstream media and newspaper mainstream media, I'm wondering how long all these things are going to last. I see when I go to work in a little village of a morning, there's only usually a few little handful of old fellas that sometimes are lining up outside the newsagents if the newspaper delivery man hasn't arrived. Because I work very early and I see all the usual faces in this village of a morning, and they all see me. And if they're all standing outside having a little gossip outside the newsagents, I know that the newspapers are late. And the news that you get in the newspapers, again, is all very carefully crafted, and you're only getting certain little economic truths, and it's outdated. I'm getting more information on my mobile coming in if I want to stop and look at something. It's more up to date and it's better. You see, you get a wider range of things, and then there's other things like this TV that you have to pay for. I just don't think that newspapers have got long to go. I think people are always going to get what they want on mobile phones with multimedia. You know, you're always going to carry one. You'll be able to see things as they're happening much quicker, different points of view. If you want something more leaning to the left, you'll go down that sort of little echo chamber. If you're of a slightly right of centre, you will go to that little echo chamber. I'm not accusing anyone of being extremist on either side. I think most people are fairly centre ground with a little left leaning or a little right leaning, and sometimes you could be left leaning on certain topics like NHS and healthcare and all that, but then perhaps a little right leaning on sort of like standards, you know, living social and living standards. You might be a little bit more disciplined in certain things. So there's all swings and roundabouts with that. And when you go onto some of these sites where people are producing things in their own rooms, I find them more compelling sometimes because they say things that I find more I can agree with more. And I just have no interest in mainstream media or newspapers anymore. They're outdated. They're sort of it's like someone's trying to flog you a square wheel, and you don't want it, but they've got to make you pay for it anyway. So I just think that newspapers and hopefully terrestrial news channels will go the way of the dodo very soon, and we won't have to pay a license fee no more. But there you go, they'll find something else to tax us on anyway. Have a good day. Bye.